You sent the last message. You waited. Nothing came back. So you made a decision, quietly, without announcing it to anyone. You stopped texting first. Not out of spite. Not as a game. You just got tired of being the one who always reaches out and never gets reached for. If that is you, what psychology has discovered about people who make this decision will completely change the way you understand yourself and everyone around you. Stopping texting first is not a communication style. It is a response to a pattern. And the pattern almost always begins the same way. You notice something. You notice that when you did not initiate, the conversation did not happen. You notice that you were carrying the relationship while the other person was simply along for the ride. And somewhere between the 10th unanswered message and the 100th one-sided effort, your brain made a very logical calculation. If the effort disappears, and so does a conversation, then the conversation was never really mutual to begin with. Psychologist John Bowlby, who developed attachment theory, found that humans have a fundamental need for what he called reciprocal attachment, the deep biological need to both give and receive connection in equal measure. When that reciprocity consistently fails to appear, the brain does not just feel hurt, it begins to protect itself. Pulling back is not coldness. It is your attachment system doing exactly what it was designed to do, redirecting your energy away from connections that cost more than they return. But here is where it gets more personal. Research on self-worth and relational patterns by psychologist Jennifer Crocker at the University of Michigan found that people who consistently initiate contact in one-sided relationships often have what she calls externalized self-worth. Their sense of value becomes tied to whether or not other people respond, reach out, or reciprocate. So every unanswered message is not just an unanswered message. It is a small, quiet confirmation of a deeper fear that maybe you matter less than you hoped. And stopping texting first is often the moment someone decides that fear no longer gets to run their relationships. There is also something happening neurologically. Every time you sent a message and waited, your brain released a small amount of dopamine in anticipation of a response. And when the response did not come, that dopamine drop created a mild but real withdrawal effect. Neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky's research on biology of anticipation and disappointment shows that repeated cycles of hope followed by non-response can literally train the brain to associate reaching out with discomfort. You did not become avoidant. Your brain learned from the data it was given. Now here's the part most people never talk about. Some people who stop texting first are not protecting themselves from indifferent friends. They are protecting themselves from something older. If you grew up in an environment where your emotional needs were met inconsistently, where love and attention came sometimes but not reliably, your nervous system learned a very specific lesson. Effort does not guarantee return. And the safest thing to do with that knowledge is to stop expending effort that history has taught you will not be returned. Psychologist Mary Ainsworth's research on attachment styles found that children who experienced inconsistent emotional availability from caregivers developed what she called anxious or avoidant attachment. As adults, those same children often struggle with a painful paradox. They want connection deeply, but they have learned through experience that reaching out can lead to disappointment. So they wait, they test, they pull back, and they watch to see who actually shows up without being asked. Here's what that means for you right now. If you stop texting first, you're not playing games. You are gathering data. You are finding out who your relationships actually are when you remove your own effort from the equation. And what you find will tell you more about those relationships than a year of one-sided conversations ever could. The people who notice and reach out are showing you something real. The people who disappear when you stop initiating are also showing you something real. Both pieces of information are valuable. Both deserve to be taken seriously. You are not too much for pulling back. You are not too little for wanting reciprocity. Needing effort to be mutual is not a high standard. It is the most basic definition of what a real connection actually is. If you stop texting first, leave a quiet comment below. Subscribe to InnerFeels for more videos that finally explain the psychology behind the patterns you've been living but never had the words for.